And now, live from the studios of Freedom's Phoenix, Ernest Hancock.
Turn on the tube, what do I see? A whole lot of people crying, don't blame me. They point their crooked little fingers at everybody else. Spend all the time feeling sorry for themselves. Victim of this, victim of that. Your mama's too thin and your daddy's too fat. Get over it.
Yeah, get over it here on Declare Your Independence. Me, Ernest Hancock, my very special guest, John Lott. Now, John Lott's an economist and an attorney, and the boy's got skills and a lot of opinion in his book in the late 90s, More Guns, Less Crime. And, of course, I want to talk to him about his interest in what Obama is going to do, not what he's saying or what he doesn't say, because I had last Friday, we had Brad Freeman on. He's an Obama supporter, and he wanted to give us what for. And I'm just waiting for them to do the gun control thing. Because they've always said in the past, they go, no, you bunch of crazy libertarians. You know, Obama's not going to take your guns. He hasn't taken your guns. He hasn't done anything to take guns. He's not taking guns. Why? Because they don't want the gun rights activists to get involved in this thing. Because, ooh, man, is that a block of contention. Now, what happens is when you start, even Gabby Giffords here, the congresswoman in Tucson that was shot, that you would think would bring a bunch of gun control legislation. Well, you got, some state legislators might introduce whatever, but it's a non-starter here in Arizona. That is not going to happen. And a lot of it is from the understanding of what John Lott had to say about having more guns is less crime. And so now I want to ask John, behind the scenes, there's an effort. The Obama administration is using something to try and, get some kind of control on this, are they not?
Right. Well, they've done quite a few things kind of under the radar. The news media isn't covering it, but they've banned several types of semi-automatic rifles from being imported in the United States because they claim that semi-automatic rifles pose a danger to people, that you can accidentally shoot somebody. And the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms last week just put out regulations on what sporting use means for shotguns, and it's a set of regulations which are more stringent than what existed under the assault weapons ban. You have other reporting requirements that are being imposed on gun stores that are going to be quite costly in terms of the number of forms and other things that they have to fill out. And of course, you've had a number of people they put on the courts just because we've had two decisions with regard to Heller for the Washington, D.C. ban and Chicago in the McDonald case. All the court decided in those two cases was that a complete ban on an entire category of guns goes too far. But just because you can get 5 votes for that in a very narrowly divided 5-4 court doesn't mean that you're going to be able to get 5 votes when it comes to the hundreds of dollars it takes to go and register a gun in Washington, D.C. or Chicago. That 5th vote could flip, or if one of the 5 justices die or retire, things would change dramatically, because the 2 people that the president's put on the Supreme Court so far have both argued that they do not believe that there's an individual right to people to own guns. Elena Kagan, when she worked in the Clinton administration, was the point person for all of Bill Clinton's gun control regulations. And but the people they're putting on the lower courts, which are going to deal with the vast majority of cases on gun issues, very few cases are going to make it to the Supreme Court. The people he's putting on are just as bad. I mean, I knew Obama when we were at the University of Chicago. I taught there when he was a visiting lecturer. And the first time I met him, I went up, introduced myself. He said, "Oh, you're the gun guy." And I said, "Yeah, I guess so." And he said, "I don't believe people should be able to own guns." And I said, "Well, maybe we could get together for lunch sometime and talk about it." And he did something which he normally did in our conversations, which he just kind of wrinkled his face, turned around, and walked away. And that was the end of our conversation.
Okay, why? Why are they so against the individual ownership? They understand what it means, or they understand what it means? I mean, what is it?
I think it's multiple things. I think they've really convinced themselves that they're going to make the world safer by banning guns, because a lot of people get all their news about guns from the television, radio. I mean, probably without thinking hard, you can think of what seems like hundreds or thousands of news stories about bad things that happen with guns. When was the last time, though, that you watched the national news and heard a story about somebody using their gun to save their lives or the life of somebody else? I mean,
okay, let me walk you through what's going on here in Arizona. Okay, we have right here. Even Donald Trump is warning that an economic collapse is coming. I mean, he's going on saying you're going to pay $25 a loaf of bread. Pretty soon we're going to end up being another Egypt, okay? Now we look at Egypt and we see here we have millions of people going, I don't want this government. I'm done. They're peacefully, walking around doing kind of gathering, and those. And here comes the armed other guys. Throwing Molotov cocktails. They're funded by the government. They're repressing the will of the people because we can. So now you have, you come to America and we have the municipal bonds, the municipal funds are going to be, nailed. I mean, Meredith Whitney just came out with her report that's starting to disseminate, throughout our culture going, you know what? All of these local municipalities are underfunded, and all these police officers and teachers and firemen, guess what? Your pension, your retirement, gone, done. So what do? They're going to have to raise taxes. They're going to have to come after us, and we're going to go, hey, man, how about not? Well, I've already been in contact with our liaisons that we deal with, doing a lot of different protests and things that we do here with Freedom's Phoenix, the Phoenix Police Department. And I go, we need to have a rules of engagement here. When people, it's going to be relatively soon, they're going to be people, heck no, I don't want no more taxes kind of thing. And we need to understand what happens when we're armed. Because when we do our TSA stuff at the Sky Harbor Airport, we're wearing our firearms. We're the ones that had our, black men with AR-15 when Obama comes. So I'm going, right. They are going to be armed. People keeps it more peaceful. The police are nicer. They understand. But at some point, there is going to be an Egyptian-style uprising of the people, and we're not going to just be standing there while the goons start killing us. So I'm going, this is what I think they're afraid of. This is what they are worried about. This is what they do not want to have happen.
Yeah, well, you look at surveys, and the gun issue divides self-identified liberals and conservatives more than abortion, more than taxes. I mean, it's something that kind of gets to the core, I guess, of what it means to be a conservative or a liberal or a libertarian and a liberal. And it's whether or not who's ultimately responsible for your defense. I mean, my research finds that police are the single most important factor for reducing crime, but I think the police understand themselves that they virtually always arrive on the crime scene after the crime's been committed. And what does that mean people should do when they have to confront them by themselves? And telling them to behave passively isn't very good advice.
Police, draw the chalk line and notify the next of kin. You just want to make sure the next of kin is the bad guys. We'll be right back here on Declare Your Independence with John Lott in just a little bit.